Hi guys, I'm Phil Snow, the fat loss and performance coach. Kapow! Talking today about some fat loss and some fast fat loss techniques, but also talking about the considerations of fat loss that we probably don't even think about that affect fat loss. Now, out in the industry, again, at the moment, very, very popular, it comes round in full circle, as I keep mentioning, is the whole calorie in, calorie out ethos, okay? So the fact that if I consume less calories and I burn off more calories, I will reduce body fat. Yes. Simply, yes, you will do that. That will happen if you write that down on paper. It's a very, very simple equation. But also if I write down, right, okay, if I make £1,000 a day, for 10 days, I'll earn £10,000 in 10 days. Very simple when I write it down, but in fact, in application, it's very, very tricky. Otherwise, we'd all be walking around with £10,000 in our pockets, correct? Right, so some of the things that the counting calories ethos doesn't take into consideration is a few of the examples that I've put up here that are things that I received from some of my clients. So it doesn't take into consideration childcare, for instance, okay? It doesn't take into consideration maintaining a household. It doesn't take into consideration your work, the work hours, how long you work, for instance, how sedentary or active or inactive you are at work, the shift patterns that you have to work, i.e. Working nights, etc. It doesn't take into consideration your personal motivation. It doesn't take into consideration your habits, good or bad. It doesn't take into consideration your knowledge of food and how to apply it as well. It doesn't take into consideration if you know how to cook, if you know how to train. Doesn't even take into consideration if you know anything about nutrition in the first place. Counting calories doesn't take into consideration your friends and the temptation that comes with that when they're saying, oh, go on, one won't hurt. Business, people have businesses to run, okay? It doesn't take into consideration how massive impact that has on your health and your lifestyle as well, and all the other things on here above as well. Doesn't take into consideration any injuries you may have. Doesn't take into consideration any social engagements that you may be going on and that you need to fulfill your lifestyle and be happy. Doesn't even take into consideration your travel and your commute to work. Doesn't take into consideration the tripe and bullshit that you're listening to or watching on YouTube or on Facebook or any other social media platform. The loads of misinformation of these cool bloggers and these cool influencers. It doesn't take into consideration temptation when you're sat there in the evening and you really want to eat something, and it doesn't take into consideration boredom, which isn't on there at the moment, okay? So loads of other considerations that have a massive impact on our food that we're eating at one point of time or another, okay? So we really need to kind of think about, right, what are my biggest barriers, okay? What are the things that are holding me back from my goals at the moment? If my goal is fat loss, which are the big, I don't know, 10 that are massively impacting, okay? So if we was to write that down in a list, okay, so say for instance, I've got my top 3 here, okay, boredom, okay? So I'm gonna write down, right, okay, when I get bored, what I'm gonna do instead is X, Y, Z, okay? Childcare, instead, okay, what I'm gonna do to overcome those childcare barriers is 1, 2, 3. Okay, my knowledge, I don't know much about nutrition, how to lose fat, I don't know much about exercise, so what I'm going to do is invest, okay, and I'm going to instead do square, X, triangle to find out what are the best ways to lose body fat. So guys, all right, yes, very simply, reduce your calories, burn more calories, you will burn more body fat. But first, think about all this other stuff that may be having a massive impact on your fat loss goals. Guys, I hope that's helped out. Keep it real. See you soon.